We have been taught to compete for power in a world that don't belong to us. But the truth tells us our power ain't in going at each other. It is found in unity. To the woman, your insight is a gift that is meant to be received only when you're operating in the divine feminine, not as a weapon to be used against the man, not as a weapon to be used against the only thing that can truly save you. You are exactly what's needed to ignite the fire within him that wakes him up so he can become just as the God that lives within him. To the man, when she is operating correctly, her words are your insight. It is the part of your own divinity that was sent to this realm to rescue you from the lower state that you are in now. She was sent to rescue you from the fallen state that you are in right now. Just think about that story. Why would God want us to be in the garden just dumb, blind? Why would he punish us for learning the truth? Think on that. We are indigenous to the Americas, people, not Africa. And I'm going to keep beating y'all across the head with that shit until y'all finally get it. And we are also indigenous to each other's souls. The false creators of this realm win every time we feud. But the moment we turn back toward one another, the moment the action of the man works with the insight of his woman, the illusion of the cage shatters. Let's deconstruct the lie. What if I told you that everything you've been taught about the battle of the sexes was a script written by someone who is terrified of your combined power? Look at the world today. We are told that a woman's strength and value is found in her independence from the man. Really think about that shit. We see the mainstream portraying a relationship dynamic as a tug-of-war, slavery, a competition for who is the boss or who can survive without the other. But what if the version of Eve you were given in Sunday school was actually all bullshit? What if the helper wasn't a secondary role, but a code name for a rescuer sent to rescue your ass? What if the woman wasn't created because the man was lonely? What if she was created because the man was in danger? If you are ready to stop looking at yourself through the lens of a system that wants you to stay divided, I want to show you the truth of who you really are. In the beginning of this physical realm, the Great Spirit, the Creator, whatever you choose to call him, did not create the world we see today. Instead, a lower, confused power tried to copy the heavens. He built the man out of the red clay of the earth. He called him Adam, a story we all familiar with. This man had a body and had breath, but he was empty. He was heavy with the sleep of forgetfulness. The Lord level imposter God of this realm wanted it this way. He wanted a man who was strong enough to work the fields, but too asleep to realize he was a God far more superior than the ones he was created to serve. He wanted an indigenous son who would walk his own land and never realize he owned the soil beneath his feet. The true source looked down and saw this sleeping king and refused to leave him in the dark. But the source didn't send an army. The source sent a woman. Some cold shit, ain't it? Think about how God used certain individuals throughout the Bible, and this will actually make sense to you. But it's going to force you to walk away from the bullshit that we were once taught to hold as true. But in the ancient text, she is called the spiritual insight. She wasn't an afterthought. She was a rescue mission. She was the highest. Heaven. And she was sent from the highest part of heaven to hide inside the physical world. When this Lord level God took her out of the rib of the man, he thought he was making a companion for Adam to keep him occupied. He was wrong, because what the fuck she do? Gave him that apple. And they want you to believe that's when the fall happened. He was actually letting a Trojan horse out. He was letting the Trojan horse of wisdom into his kingdom. The moment the woman opened her eyes, her purpose began. She looked at Adam and saw herself in a male form who had forgotten his godhood. The story says she stood over him while he was in that deep sleep of ignorance. She touched his spirit and whispered the truth into his ear. She was the instructor sent from the Creator to remind him who he really is. And he took that help from Adam's very own self. That shit is deep, ain't it? Her voice was the first thing that made his soul stir. Come on, y'all know it. The right woman will make a man go to war with the world. We all know this. She didn't just give him life. She gave him the realization that he was actually superior to the very system that claimed to own him. The false creator told them, do not eat from the tree of knowledge. And you really have to think about that. What God would not want you to have knowledge? Think about that. He told them that truth was a sin. But the woman knew better. She knew that safety in the garden was just another word for slavery. in the dark. She reached for the fruit, the hidden laws, the secret history, the spiritual fire, and she handed it to the man she knew that could save them both. She handed it to Adam. In that moment, the fall wasn't a tragedy. It was the first act of liberation from this fucking slavery, hell colony we exist in that was created by a God that's not even superior than the God in you. By her hand, the man's eyes were open, and for the first time, he saw the fake Lord gods for what they really were. Lower powers trying to play God. The world has tried to rewrite our history. They have tried to rewrite our story multiple times. They want you to believe that being a strong woman means doing it all alone. But that is a lie of the fake gods to keep the king asleep. Today, the sleeping king is the indigenous man in America who has been drugged by a false history and a system designed to keep him in a sunken place. He is walking his ancestral lands thinking he is a stranger. That got to be the most fucked up thing in life when you really think about that. I know it is for me. Your purpose is to be his awareness and insight. You are the one who carries the insight he cannot see yet. That's what makes you so important. You are the instructor who brings the fruit of knowledge back into the home. You are the guardian who refuses to let him be comfortable in his sleep. You weren't created to be with him in the dark. You were created to get him to open his eyes so he can lead the both of y'all back to the source within him. When you stand by him, you aren't just supporting a man. You are reactivating a divine lineage. You are the reason the cage can no longer hold him. But before we walk away from this truth, I have to ask you one question, again, that will force you to look at every argument, every gender war video, and every bitter moment in a new light. And I will ask you this. If the enemy of your soul knows that he can only keep the king asleep as long as the insight is silenced, and he can only keep the insight trapped as long as the king refuses to listen, then whose voice are you actually hearing? When you are told that you are better off alone, think about that. If your union is the only thing that actually threatens the system that claims to own your land and your mind, then isn't every narrative that pushes us apart just a modern day commandment from a false creator? Every time we buy into the idea that the man is the enemy or the woman is a burden, we are literally rebuilding the walls of the garden of ignorance. We are choosing to sleep because the waking up requires us to actually see each other again. We have been taught to compete for power in a world that doesn't belong to us, but the truth tells us that our power isn't going at each other. It's in unity, as it always has been. So I will say this again, starting with the woman. Your insight is a gift that is meant to be received, not as a weapon to be used against the only person that can liberate you. You are the spiritual oxygen that wakes him up so he can stand as the protector of the lineage. And to the man, her voice isn't a critique. It is your insight. It is the part of your own divinity that was sent to rescue you from the sunken place of this world's expectations. We are the indigenous to the Americas, not the East Asians or the Europeans. And we also are indigenous to one another's soul. The false creators of today win every time we walk away. But the moment we turn back toward one another, the moment the action of the man meets the insight of the woman, the illusion of the cage shatters. The story of Eve isn't the story of a fall. It is a story of a return. You weren't created to follow him into the dark. You were created to lead him back to the light. He was created to be the one who takes the knowledge and uses it to reclaim the world for both of you. Stop fighting for a seat at the table. Turn around. Look at the king beside you. Look at the insight within you. And let's walk out this goddamn garden together. You with me, love?